Huh.
Alright, the next setup. So fella just brought this in, don't know what year it is, said he hasn't played it for years and years. Pretty clean SG. Got a couple little ding right there. You can see those two dings right there and right there. Another little ding over in this area. The back, I didn't see any. A little tiny scratch up in there, but nothing much. The neck is oh, on this light, no dings, but let me see if I can get that sideways. I don't know. There's lots of buckle rash back there. It's just drag marks though, nothing like worn through the finish. It's hard to see it, except in certain light. You can feel it actually. The neck is real nice. Nothing going on with the neck. It's got the Made in USA stamp in the back, which generally indicates 70 to 74. I'll look it up again. It's typically what that means when it's stamped in the back of that. I think they might have had some newer ones that had that stamp on them too. I'll have to recheck that to find out. Okay, I'll put it on the bench. Alright, so I got this SG on the bench, and I'm not, first thing I'm going to do is just check, sorry I still got the same creaky chair. First thing I'm going to do is check the relief on the neck. And since I don't know what I'm going to end up posting, but I did a setup on a Strat and a Les Paul, basically back to back, and this just came in, and just the same thing, just a straight up setup on this, and then polish the frets. Now the frets on this thing look really flat, and I don't know what was stock on an SG, what they did. I need my visor. Now I'll check that out after a while. But I'm going to see if those are really flat. If they are flat, I'm going to crown them and polish them. I want to get an idea of where we're at here. If we're within the ballpark. I'm going to go up to the 17 and check. Push it down there to check my neck relief. Okay, it's right at 12 thousandths. Yeah, it's just right there. As you will have already seen in the other videos, I tend to go a little flatter than that on electric. That works pretty good for acoustic, but for electric, 8 to 10. I had a couple guitars in that were actually not needing fretwork. They just had a little bit too much neck relief. So pull the cover off of this and see what the rod looks like. That's the first thing I like to do. I will just run up and down the neck real quick with the rocker just to see what's going on with that. Let's just start in the middle. I haven't even played the thing yet. I really need to play the thing. I got a little bit of a rock right on the 12th fret. Yeah, a little bit on the 12th fret. Let's see what it does out here on the edge. It doesn't do anything on the edge. And a little bit on the high side, treble side. That really shouldn't be an issue on a neck this long. And what I mean by that is typically, right, 15, 16, most of your Gibson guitars connect to the body right at this fret. So you can see, because this horn basically would come around and connect to the body. If you're thinking Les Paul or Nighthawk, they come up here 15, 16. So it's right where the neck hits the top side of the body. They usually have a cutaway, not this deep, of course. It's not. They usually have about 2 or 3 frets up where the cutaway comes into it. So the SG really is a nice guitar if you like a lot of access, or custom guitar if you like that. All the guitars I build with good access, unless they're copies. I've done a couple Nighthawk copies. I'm in the process of doing another Nighthawk copy, but it's still going to have really good access because of the way I've carved the neck and everything up here, even though it's meeting the body at the 16th fret. So rocking this thing doesn't seem too bad. I will just go ahead and noodle around on it and see if I have any kind of string buzz. And then I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and straighten this neck out a little bit and see if I can create some string buzz. Like I said, I think they're just easier to play and faster when the action's a little low, the relief's a little less. All right, we're pretty good all the way up. I got a little bit of a rock here and there, but nothing to get too freaked out about. Let's see, I got this camera set up. I don't have it hanging from the ceiling, but I got it up on a tripod way up on top of the bench, so I'm not even sure if I can see me in there. I think I can. I don't know what gauge these strings are either, and they're really old, so. The action is pretty low on this thing already. I'm guessing it's a little lower than 4/64. I had an ever so slight buzz on the E string. My fingers are killing me. I have cracks in my fingers and I've got to play more on. They're really hurting. Okay, so well, I'm going to grab my string action gauge and see where that, actually I got a ruler right here, I'll just use that. I might need my visor. Yeah, this thing, I'm reading the 4/64 up well over the top of the E string, so it's really, really low action. So I'm going to flatten this neck out a little bit, and I'm going to raise the action, raise the bridge. Now, I'm not too sure what you can see in that thing. I might go ahead and zoom it down a little bit. And I'm not sure how much of this video I'm even going to show, so it might not make it, or little pieces of it might make it, because I want to show a guy that bought a Firebird. He bought 3 Firebirds, and the bridges were ridiculously high off the body. The bridge saddle combination thingy here, to compensate for the wrong neck angle in the thing. Even though they're neck throughs, they have this ridiculous neck angle. I'm gonna zoom. I can reach this thing. This thing is really, oh mercy, I didn't realize my mug was in the shot. That's awful. I'll just pick it up. Well, I'm really having trouble telling, but if you can see that bridge height there, that's a good bridge height. This is where these things ought to set up at, right in that range. So there we go. I got a little more light in my viewfinder, so maybe I can tell what I'm doing. Anyway, yeah, you can barely see that bridge. I can barely see it anyway. But that's a good, that's the way it should be. When you get a Gibson guitar, a Les Paul, or an SG, or a Firebird, something that has this stop tailpiece, tom bridge, tunematic combo. This saddle bridge thing should not be, very far off the deck. In fact, I'll give you a measurement where this one's at. This one, if it lived right here, it'd be perfect. Measuring between the wheel and the stud that goes in the body, the socket that pounds into the body here. We're talking not even 4/64. About 3/64 of adjustment under there. So that's really, really good. It's not gonna try to rock the bridge forward or do anything screwy with it like that. The one on that Firebird, that all 3 of them that he posted on the website had, a half an inch under them or something. They were ridiculously high. At any rate, all right. Okay, so I just tightened the truss rod up. I've got 9/1000ths of relief, and I'm gonna see what I have going on here. Put the visor on. This thing, I have 2/64ths of string height on the fatty, and the same, maybe just a fuzz higher on the high E. Seriously, I've never had a guitar set up with this low of action. Yeah. I tell you what. It's got just ever so slight. You can hear it, unplugged. It's got just a slight bit of rattle. I'm gonna bring it up just a fuzz. If it was mine, I'd probably just leave it where it's at because you can't hear it rattling through the amp. I'm wondering if it's got 12,000 or 12-inch radius on it, so it's not going to fret out more than likely. So I am going to bring it up just a fuzz so that there isn't any rattle at all, even though it's just very slight. But if I push it back up to that 3/64ths, that is really, really low and slinky. Very, very nice. These strings are really old and rusty and feel bad. So it needs some strings on that. So at this point, I'm going to pull the strings off of it. I'm going to, well, I'll recheck it. Turn my tuner on. I'll recheck it with the rocker. I doubt that there's going to be any serious rock going on. We had one before at the 12th, and we just have a really slight, just very, very slight. And I didn't have one up here yet, so it's still, I think it's less than it was before, now that I've adjusted the neck a little bit, but I get no rattling playing the thing, but I'm going to bring it up a fuzz, and when I do the final setup, right now I'm going to take it off, I'm going to take the strings off, clean, oil the fretboard, check, well, I can buy it around now. Yeah, I'll polish these things up. They look a little flat. I'm gonna have to look this up and see if this is normal on a SG. They're all really flat. Well, I'll definitely shine them up. They're pretty grungy. Might go ahead and roll a little crown back on them and buff them up. So anyway, I'll do that, and I asked the customer specifically because I had one guy's Strat. It's been many, many years ago. No, it was a Les Paul. I mentioned it before in something else I was doing. The Les Paul that had I deglossed the finish, and it still had orange peel in the finish from the factory, shiny orange peel, and I deglossed that. But that particular guitar, he had kind of tarnished pickup covers, and I cleaned them up, and that was a mistake. He liked them tarnished, so I specifically asked this guy if it was all right if I cleaned up his hardware a little bit, and he was okay with that. So I'll clean up what I can. I'll clean the body up for sure, get it all nice and clean and shiny again, and then finish the setup on it for the guy. All right, guys, what is going to happen here? I contacted the owner on the SG, and going to go ahead and do the crown and polish rather than just shining the frets up. We're going to go ahead and crown them so we get that crown back on them. They're just flat as can be. I've done a bit. I've done quite a bit actually between a few different series that are going to be coming up. What was it? The refret and the reset on the 78 Martin is already up and on. It's been a long time that it's been up now, and there's a complete refret on that. I'm getting ready, and it will be up before you see this, I think, to start uploading the videos on the Les Paul 74 Les Paul. So this SG, what I'm going to do is take the strings off. I'm going to go ahead and tape up the board. If you've seen these other videos, you know my feelings about that. I hate fiddle farting with the little shield. For the time it takes me to tape a board, and for not having to go back over afterwards and clean buffing compound out from between the edge of the fret and the fretboard, or have to drag the fretboard with a razor to clean things up, tool marks and whatnot, I just soon tape it off and not have to worry about it. I do, you know, especially on a vintage or an older instrument, but this isn't that old of an instrument. I checked with the owner. It's actually a 69 reissue, and I think he said he picked it up somewhere around 2010. So that's really not that old an instrument. What I do is I tape the edge of the board, but I don't stick it to the edge of the board. I'll run a couple pieces of tape across the fretboard, various places, take a piece of tape upside down, gooey side up, and then stick it to those tabs. And then, so as that runs over, that all makes a little sandwich of tape. And I explain that on the other videos, I think, as well. If not, you can ask me in the comments and I'll explain it better, or I'll do a video just on taping off a fretboard. How's that? But that way you don't have any tape sticking down to the existing finish, just to the very top of the board. This particular guitar has nibs on it, which is an old, and it's because it's a reissue that they've got them on this one, because that's an old feature, the binding coming up over the ends of the frets, and they're kind of, I think it's goofy. But if I were refretting this instrument, I would try to save them, but it would end up costing the customer a whole lot of money to do that. Most times they just get leveled out with the board and the new frets go the full width of the fretboard. So that's it. I'm going to tape it off. I'm going to, I had that little rock on the 12th fret. I'll address that very lightly, and I may even just put a little bit of fall away in the end of this thing, although as close as these strings are to the fretboard, we're at 3/64ths, I'll reiterate. That's really low action, and as you saw previously, it was all the way down to 2/64ths or 32nd, and had just a very slight buzz. Now, if I did a little fall away back here, I'd probably eliminate that little rattle. That's just not really necessary, but I'll probably just give it a couple strokes and then crown everything and polish it, and then, you know, clean the whole thing up, string it up, do another setup, or finish the setup, and get it back to the customer. So I don't know if I'm going to turn the camera on during any of that or not. We'll see what happens. Well, it seemed a shame to pack this up without giving you one last look at it. It's the 69 reissue, built in or purchased in about 2010. So we'll go ahead and pan on down here and see what I can see. So just a quick recap of what happened here. I did a level crown and polish, and it was just a slight level. This thing came in with the slickest action I've ever seen on a stock instrument, but the frets were just really flat, so I wanted to crown them. I did have that one little tiny rocker up here at the 12th fret, and so I just straightened it out and put some fall away, a little bit of fall away, not tons, and then well, when I have the strings off of it, I always grab my wrench and just check to make sure that the nuts are tight on the tuners, the screws in the back. This output jack was loose, so I pulled the back cover off and held it and snugged it up. Checked all the all the controls. Volume's on right now. Nothing's scratched. Everything's good. The switch looks really good. So aside from doing the fretwork on it and and cleaning the board up and oiling the board. New strings. I cleaned everything up, waxed the whole guitar up with this DuMac preservation polish. I really like that stuff. It does a super job cleaning things up. Soaked the Tune-O-Matic bridge in naphtha with a few drops of 3-in-1 oil. 3-in-1 oil? Yeah, that's what it's called. 3-in-1. That didn't sound right for some reason. Otherwise known as sewing machine oil. Then I put a little bit of lubrication on the threads anyway. So did a full setup on it. Did the intonation. Set the pickup heights and balanced not only front to rear pickup, but pickup, across the pickup itself, with the pull screws. So it's nice sounding instrument. I won't torture you with my guitar playing, but I did want you to see. I'm just too close. I just wanted you to get a good look at this thing. It's just a beauty. Anyway, it's all done. Going back to the customer, and I got dust on me from sanding on another guitar, and so I'll have to go over this thing before I put it back in the case. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot. We'll catch you next time.